All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. We have had such a productive day. For everyone joining us via YouTube or looking at us on the project website, my name is Paul Lippens. I'm with McKenna, and I'm the project manager for the city's master plan. And we've been here with our team, members of the community, all week. This is our ideas night, right? So what we're doing tonight is we're presenting and talking about a lot of the ideas that we've heard over the course of the week. And we are going to do a little bit of a report back. And then tomorrow, we'll do some more synthesis of what we hear tonight about these ideas. And we'll do a final presentation. Final presentation for this week is tomorrow night. It will be taking place at the Hawk's Nest. So we've got to change it in. We do have signs up on the door that will direct people to the Hawk's Nest, walking distance from Seton Garden, where we're going. And we'll give a little bit more of an intimate setting, have a discussion, and we'll just kind of recap tomorrow night what's come out. And just so everyone knows too, our projects that we're working on, the three-quarter visioning project and the master plan project, we're going to be working on this over the course of the next year. We have many opportunities for continued involvement and conversations with everyone in the city. We have 4 neighborhood workshops planned, and we're working with the project advisory committee, planning commission, city council, and everybody that's taken their time to be involved in this project. Make sure that we continue to take this message to people and listen to people and incorporate all the ideas that will make Benton Harbor a wonderful community that everyone is invested in the community that is here. Will appreciate, and everyone will have an opportunity to work towards a collaborative vision. And that's what we're starting. We're starting a collaborative vision as part of this project. So I want to thank everybody, certainly is here, investing in time. But we had a great suggestion this afternoon about just starting by sharing some of those ideas. So let's do that. So everyone here has a post-it, right? And we want to write down what one of our big ideas are for the city. And I'd like everybody to take the time to just write down, everyone, including the consultant team, write down after all of these talks we've had, what your big idea, what your want is. Write one word. We're going to ask you to say what that word is, and we're going to put it up on our big idea board, and that's how we want to start tonight. And that's how we want to continue our work. So for anyone outside who has not actually heard this message, you can go to bestbentonharbor.com, our website, and you can submit your idea, your big idea for Benton Harbor right online. So if you didn't have time to make it down and talk to us this week, you can tell us all the important things you'd like us to do in that way. And if you can't get online, don't worry. We're going to be asking these questions over and over again until you have an opportunity to talk to one of us, talk to your commissioner, talk to your planning commissioner, and get involved. This is an important meeting for the project that you want to be working. So thank you. Let's do this. If anyone has time to write down your idea, this is pretty simple. Yes. Let's start over here. Restore. Commissioner Griffin. Carpenter.
I don't think I need that. But my word is restore. Restoration.
All right, Commissioner Clark Griffin says restore. You wrote it on your map or on your page. Can you give me the piece? We're going to put it on the board.
Okay, you want to know what I want to restore?
Sure, tell us everything you want to talk about.
I wrote three things down just really quickly. One was the opportunity making it a youth activity center.
Nice.
So it needs a lot of work, so restore. The other one was inner city parks. A lot of parks and nothing's been done to them, and all kids need a park. So, and another one was the hotel on Wall Street restored because it's great potential.
We talked about that.
Yes.
Let me put it up for us. Thank you very much. All right, move on here to go next. Commissioner.
Thank you. My word is housing, but not just housing, senior housing. In our community, there's not one senior housing in the city of Benton Harbor. They're built all on the outskirts. So senior housing and affordable housing, utilizing buildings that can be restored in terms of Benton Harbor area schools have lots of buildings, but buildings that we can use to affordable housing. Rents between $600 and $900 a month for one teacher.
Thank you. And that we've heard a lot about it, and thank you for articulating. So good. What's important about housing? All right. Commissioner.
revitalize. I would like to see the city revitalized back to the 60s and 70s when it was hustling and bustling and vibrant throughout the city. And that's what we need to get back to.
Thanks, sir. Go over here.
My word is also powerful. If I can say two words, I say middle housing. Housing for everybody at different price points. That's what we're looking for.
All right. I'm gonna go to that.
My word is connectivity, and I'd like to see more of it here in this community, you know, as we keep coming back, but not just connectivity of roads and streets and trails, connectivity of neighborhoods, and having neighborhoods connect and talk and advocate for issues.
All right, I'm gonna go back, I don't wanna miss anybody, go back here, all right.
Housekeeping, in every sense of the word, from the weeds in the sidewalk to the dilapidated buildings, everything boils down to perception. If we want our home values to go up, we need to raise the bar. If we want to attract businesses, we better look like we're ready for business.
All right. Housekeeping, I like it, sir, thank you for coming tonight, let's hear it.
My word is water, and everything's connected to it, because if we use that as your backbone infrastructure, all the other expenses and all the other movies can be tied to clean water. And what should we be about when you're talking about clean water and water resources? Now we need to plan.
Thank you very much. All right, then go ahead over here.
I had to condense it down to one word, and I came up with same. I want the same community that I live on Airplane and in beautiful Simi Valley, California. That would be Akron, my name here, in New York, in Harvard. I want to see the same. I want to see the same streets. I want to see the same beauty, the flowers. I want to see the same housekeeping. I want the same opportunities as far as health. I want to be able to envision the same thing that I can envision in Simi Valley, right here in Harvard. I want the same. I don't want to have to go from one city to the other. One, I feel good, and the other one, the tears are coming. That's not good. I want the same, just the same.
How about that? Thank you. We talked a lot about how, you were talking today, maybe you can give us your word too. Earlier today, you talked about how the demand is bigger than people think, right?
Right.
So what's your word?
Put it in one word. Potential.
There you go.
We need potential.
How about your other word, deserving?
Potential and deserving, five extra words.
Right.
We will write those down for about two. I'm gonna go over to Rich, because he's not in the conversation.
Actually, it's becoming the best study section, whatever I wrote down. So I picked another one, which is collaboration. And it shows that because it seems to be the only way we're going to really make a success of this plan or any other plans we make is if we're all working together and not making them happen. So civic collaboration in neighborhoods, collaborations in businesses. And we wanted to take care of housekeeping and provide the same as other places. And we know there's then we need to work together and make it happen.
Century? No. These were all custom before.
So I just need you to add three.
Robinson,
I listed doing business,
and
which
these
will
were
also
all
lead to employment
trusted.
opportunities. I listed equity and opportunity access, and then similar to most of us here, I listed quality / affordable housing.
All right. Okay.
Originally,
I also kind of did that where, I don't care, I respect and empowered, I think all of us, including the themes that we're talking about and the processes about respecting the youth, respecting the seniors, respecting the visitors, and, you know, empowering them and helping them, you know, realize their precious dreams and their just like that really is where and like highlighting that everyone deserves this, like, yeah, everyone deserves it, you know.
All right, we almost got there earlier, so let's go this way.
I'm just about broke my own rule. I was having a little side conversation, and I apologize for that. I was interested in what you say. Got lost.
So-
My word is respect, which I say I broke it. Respect for history of our area, respect for our neighbors. Some of them are outstanding, and many of them want to be, if they're not already. Nature, which is really, we are just nature, and we need to honor it and value it. It's working for us if we're not working against it, and the next generation.
Yes, yes. Love it. Go over to Craig.
I remember connections as well, so for me, been thinking a lot about the projects that we're undertaking and really how neighborhoods are divided, the street, network broken. But also today, I think we're poignantly, those about connections between people. I think that's what this is all about.
People. Thank you, Craig. Let's start here with Emily.
So my word is heritage. I've spent a lot of time in this community in the last 4 or 5 years, and what I'm hearing a lot of this week is really the importance of maintaining and making sure that the future of the city is really built on an authentic, cultural, connected set of neighborhoods and districts based on the local here. And it's got to be real. So we are resources to make that real.
So Mike? Okay. I have transition as the word, as for transition from an industrial to a historic economy. Or how to leverage the beautiful beach that it has to create a premier resort destination. I think that actually the word same actually relates to what Mike is saying too, right? Andrew.
So I've got two. One is a little bit more of an idea and builds on Emily's saying around heritage. So every upper floor space downtown rehabilitated in active use. I think we have it's old. Not being ambitious. To the heritage piece, this community has still a rich architectural heritage, personal heritage, and everything else. So much is gone, and we can't afford to lose more tax base in one quality place. So I think that's a bold goal that could be achieved. And the other one is way different. There is one word, and it's totally kind of selfish, but I wrote skate park. So
Skate park.
I've been a skateboarder for 37 years. I've gone all over the country to visit cool ones, and it's such a cool, equitable place where, you know, a 12-year-old kid can be there hanging out with some weird old guy like me who's 45 and still does it. His families, and they're even like little tourism drugs. So those are my experiences.
I don't know if anyone said you look a little like Tony Hawk.
I don't skate like him, but
Well,
I'm blonde, and that's about it.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead.
Thanks, Paul. My one word, I think we're gonna use the word resilient. And when I say resilient, we can apply that in a lot of ways, but the way I'm intending it is, the big idea is we're restarting a wealth generation cycle that exists within the community. So over multiple generations, building wealth through improving your personal property, building wealth through growing a small business, maybe into a medium-sized business, or as a successful small one. All of that pays taxes that creates a robust city staff, robust infrastructure, and through the generation Aspirations allows for mutual shared prosperity.
Thanks, Adam. What are your mind?
Thank you. I just think I wrote engaged, and I think that like from being at Harvard for the past few days, talking to as many people as I have had the opportunity to, everyone is just so excited to share about their city and work and try to come up with ways to make things better. And we go out in the neighborhoods and we talk to the people that we can get to talk to us. Once we prod them a little bit to give us their ideas, they want to get engaged, and I think that just having as many opportunities as possible for people in the city to get engaged and just how the city develops and help each other out and work together. They people want to do it, and they just want to have as many opportunities to do it as possible.
Thank you. And James, I'm gonna be go next, and I'm gonna go last.
All right, let's go.
Next, I'm gonna go first.
All right, guys, so my word, I'm doing big here. I work on laundromat. I did that because I was talking to the bus driver, who's really great, and super patient with us, and he said that the city of Benton Harbor doesn't have a laundromat. And that kind of breaks my heart as someone who just, has access to, wash and dryer in my own viewpoint still. I feel like the city needs a laundromat, so that's it.
I love it.
All right, if you could write mine down too.
All right, my word, I talked about this last night a little bit, but my word is music, okay? And I'll tell you why my word is music. We talk a lot about art. We have talked about a lot about art and the importance of art in this community. But one thing I heard is if art is the way to decorate a space, music is the way to decorate time. And what we're today is our people, right? And another thing I think about, the birds fly and people sing. So we had the opportunity to make this community about people. And for me, that's about singing, enjoying our time, and celebrating. That's music. So other thing I would say, I learned something at the Congress of Urbanism conference this year, which is held in Oklahoma State. And I went to a session on music, and there was one of that conference on the next person, I don't remember his name, unfortunately, but I'll find it if everyone was curious. But we talked about Tulsa, and Tulsa decided to become a music city. And the cool thing that they said is really, a way to become a music city is just say you want to be a music city. It's that simple. And they set an aspirational goal for music in that city. It was any musician that wants to come to Tulsa and make a living playing music should be able to do so. And that's economic development, right? When we talk about making a living, finding a way for people to do work, and welcoming people to the city, Rich, that's your phrase. The people of Benton Harbor welcoming, right? That's how you welcome people. Say, we'll find a job, we'll find a place. If you want to be an artist, if you want to live in this community, come to this community. So my word is music. Because it helps with my life, for sure. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to go into a little bit of a presentation. I'm going to ask Commissioner Reed. You've got a couple slides here that are really important. When we keep talking about this is the beginning of this process, I want to set the tone with your presentation of what we want to spend the next year working on. Does that sound good? Okay. And I'll pull you up.
That's the wrong. I'm gonna escape out there. I gotta go down further.
Okay, I'll get them started.
Oh no, this is right. I'm just the wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm on the right slide. I just didn't. I didn't put night 3.
When you walk into a room with people that you don't know, what's the first thing that happens to you? How many of you love public speaking? Some people say that public speaking is a very fearful experience, and we start looking at what do people fear? Snakes and public speaking. So I don't see any snakes in the room, so it must be people afraid to talk to one another. So we're getting ready to go out in the neighborhoods and start talking to the people out there. You look up and there's a crowd of folks standing around wanting to talk to you, and you don't know a single one of them. So we here in this room,
We are gonna talk honestly to each other. So, what would make this a safe place where we can talk to one another? Somebody,
Something in common.
something in common, so we can all talk about the same things we were pretty good about, right? Cute. A safe space to express yourself. When you express yourself, what does that mean? I want to know what you think. I want you to feel free to think and express it to someone sitting next to you. I want you to feel free to express yourself about how you feel about different things that you see going on. I want you to feel free to talk about the things that you do. And when you speak, many people have degrees, very intelligent. One afternoon, I walked into a room to talk to a group of people, and they all had bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees. I didn't. But yet, I was going to teach them professional development. And that's scary. Okay. What I discovered that if a person speaks from I think, I see, I feel, you take away the fear. Because what you're doing now is speaking from your point of view. So people say, oh, that's just what you think. Okay, I feel okay to express what I think. And that's how we break it down so that people can respond to one another, feeling safe to express themselves. Speak from I and speak how you feel about different things in a safe space. This room is a safe space. This afternoon, we have a very intimate and very revealing change of information and ideas. And how did we do that? We felt safe that we could express and that we would be heard. So when we go out into the neighborhoods to talk to the people out there, we want to let them know that's a safe space for them to speak in. So rather than having them come down here, we would meet them where they are, in their environment, amongst their friends, neighbors, people they know. So we would sit there patiently listening to hear what they had to say. Now, what's the difference between a discussion and dialogue? Somebody, some great soul, risk your reputation.
I've seen the slides, so I can't answer.
The dialogue is when you're talking at someone, because, I don't know, maybe that's the wrong answer, it looks like it in your eyes.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
It's the wrong answer, I knew.
This is a safe place, safe space to express how you feel. Cute. Basically, when people are discussing something, they usually are actually debating. They want to make sure that what they're saying is heard, and they want to be right about it, and they want to convince the other person that they are right about it. So they tend to debate. But when you have dialogue, it's usually about a specific item, and everybody in the room has something to contribute. It's not about you, it's about the issue that's on the table, and we want to discuss and talk about that. So tonight, that's what I want to do. We have issues in Ben Harbor that we need to discuss and talk about. I want you to be honest, speak from I, and say what's on your mind. Thank you all.
Thank you. And
Oh, we're not done yet, I'm
so
sorry.
you want me to go back? Yeah.
No, no,
Well, that's good.
go.
This one.
Last slide.
Okay.
We rehearsed this only once. Okay. Your way, my way, and if we use dialogue, we can come to a common consensus and end up with the third or the alternative way. So that's what we're looking for, the third way, okay? Thank you.
All right, we just kind of did this exercise, but I talked a little bit about how we're, our goal this week is to verify and validate visions, objectives, strategies, ideas, And the purpose of this is to say, are we on the right track? One of the questions I asked today is, and when I was explaining this process, we're doing planning week so that everyone involved can see in a transparent way the type of things that go into creating ideas. And that's what we're working on this week, is creating some ideas. And as Commissioner Reed says, over the course of the next year, we're going to be checking, continually checking and generating more ideas. But until we have these discussions, it would seem like your consultants were just coming to you with ideas. That's not the case. We are working together to create that dialogue and come up with our ideas that we will then work to validate and create more ideas as we go into a series of neighborhood workshops. As commissioners continue conversations with your constituents, we want to bring all those ideas to the table and make sure that everything that's generated this week during planning week continues to be aligned with what we hear over the course of the next year. And only when we know that we've got some good ideas, and like I said, maybe not 100% consensus from everyone in the city, but something for everyone in the city to work on. 1 idea, 2 ideas, 10 ideas that make sense for the community. All of those are going to be in the plan, and the city planning commission will know that there are things in this plan that represent residents and neighborhoods. That's what a vision means. And when we talk about these big ideas for Benton Harbor, and these are the types of ideas too, you can go right to our website right now and submit your big ideas for Benton Harbor. These big ideas are what are going to make the plan up, so that we have those things to work forward. Now, we talk about alternatives, and what that really is about is making sure, what are all the ideas? We want to take those ideas and say, what are the priorities? Which ones are not good? Are there ideas that frankly are not good, won't work, and we shouldn't include in the plan? That's part of this validation process too. But what we've heard is that walkable main streets and understanding the way this city was 1950, 1960, 1970, before it started shrinking, bringing back the hustle and the bustle, right? That's an aspiration. That's something I feel like we already have consensus on. We want to continue to check that, but that's why we're talking about housing, businesses, the economic value of the area, building on the success of the art district, but not just in the art district, finding opportunities for everybody who wants to invest in entrepreneurship, invest in creating these places to create their own version of what was created in the art district, and not just to do it in the downtown area, but to do it in the Riverside area, to do it on the Empire Corridor, to do it all around the city, to create entrepreneurship, active spaces, businesses. We've heard this. Places for people to have coffee, places for people to have conversation. And then, as James echoed today, something we hear consistently, barber shops, places to communicate, and simple things like laundromats, right? Residents need basic services, and we need to understand what those services are so we can plan for them and make sure as each project comes to the city, we're removing barriers to create these essential uses and encouraging businesses to focus on what people need. But also thinking about new ways of working, new ways of collaborating, right? It's important to have places for people to gather. We used to call this the third place. It might now be the second place, right? It might just be home and where you go to see people, right? But we want to have a futuristic vision of what these places are and make sure we're creating those collaboration spaces, those public spaces, those places to get business done, places to meet people, places to socialize, places to actively work and recreate. There are examples in Michigan about communities that are coming back, communities that have active down streets, active main streets, and Benton Harbor already has the seeds of that in many of the successful businesses. But when we talk about the same, right? When we look at all of the opportunity in this city, there are places that still aren't the same. And that's why, why did we choose Best Benton Harbor when we talked about this process? It was Commissioner Reed. When I was talking to him, he said, we want this to be your best work. And I said, it's not about me. This plan is not about me. I want it to be our best work. It will be I'm giving everything to this project, but so is everybody else. That's why it's best Penn Harbor for us, for everyone. That's why we're working on this, right? Examples of public markets, so important. There are so many good models for public markets, for groceries. We've heard about the importance of groceries. Places for farmers markets, which we know there's farmers markets, but they could be improved. They could be the best farmers market. Places for fresh food. Places to create jobs, create places for people to work, create goods, make goods. Like Chef Adi and her restaurant, which also incorporates music. You know, we want these things to be successful, and that's what having an active retail district is about. And as Bob talked about last night, the retail area, the people that want to come to Benton Harbor, it's bigger. It is bigger than many people think, and the possibilities are much bigger than many people think. And that's the message that we want to talk about in our neighborhood planning, right? We do want the basic services, but we also want to understand that it can be the best services. I'm going to ask Adam to come up for a second. Adam, would you be comfortable talking through some of the aspirations we heard about today?
Sure, Paul. This is just really kind of a big picture overview, because over the last day and a half, 2 days, through so many conversations in so many different contexts, you know, we've heard so many stories and we've heard so many ideas. And so this is just a really kind of very first attempt to start summarizing them into larger themes. And so what are some of those, right? Housing. Protect and preserve housing. So that means the historic homes that are still standing, but it also means the houses that may, you know, otherwise fall into disrepair at some point in the future. That means code enforcement. So that means building safety, basic building safety issues. We of course want to reduce the incidence of house fires. We need to look at the homes that are not, that are lived in by people who are renting from others. So we have to address the absentee landlord problem. And we have to support the current homeowner population, the people that have those homestead exemptions, right? Being able to give them the tools, the resources they need to start adding value, even if it's just incrementally, adding value over time and developing these properties. And so one of those measures are rehab initiatives. I'm not going to make the same mistake I did yesterday. I'm going to use the mouse.
Just spacebar.
Spacebar? There we go. Creating new homes. So affordable market rate housing and below market rate housing. We've talked a lot, it's already been brought up here this evening, missing middle housing. So those formats that we used to be really good at. And I'll make a pitch to take a look at those Sanborn maps with me sometimes, because you'll see that they used to be bleeding throughout these neighborhoods, duplexes, even triplexes, accessory dwelling units, programs to address some of the side lot issues, as well as some of the lot split issues that have been taking place. We talked about economic opportunity a lot. So, you know, James is very prescient with his one-word laundromat, but also things like daycare, things like new restaurants. And I know I don't want to get too much into Bob's wheelhouse, but new restaurants that meet local tastes, as well as restaurants that attract that regional population to come and visit the city. Grocery stores and formats from sort of what we would think of as that mom and pop corner store format, all the way to sort of a downtown market. But the key is prices that are reasonable, sort of market rate affordable prices, and a broad selection. So we're not just looking at potato chips, we're not just looking at liquor, we're looking at produce, we're looking at fresh foods, we're looking at, you know, a variety of daily needs that can be had without, especially if we have, you know, mobility issues. We don't have to depend on dial-a-ride to go all the way out Pipestone, all the way out into the township to shop at a Meijer or an Aldi. We might still do that from time to time, but it's nice to have those food resources close at hand in our neighborhoods. Financial legal services, those kinds of professional services that a lot of other places take for granted. In a lot of other communities, you can't go more than a block without seeing like an Edward Jones office or a State Farm insurance office. Those services are needed too, and it's important that those services come from within the community, from within the neighborhood. as well, because, you know, if you, I hate to say it, that State Farm tagline is actually rings true. It's one of the few ones where they say, you know, that they're right there in your neighborhood. I actually got State Farm, and my agent is a couple blocks away from where I live and knows my name. Those types of services that exist locally are of huge, huge import. Another thing we talked about was dispensaries. You know, this is a controversial issue in city after city after city across Michigan. The tenor of our discussions, or the ones that I've heard, is that they have a positive net impact on the community in Benton Harbor, not just from a tax revenue generating perspective, but from the perspective that their owners are actually good stewards of the buildings in which they're inhabiting. So they're putting money in, they're reinvesting money into buildings that would otherwise sit abandoned. There's also a security necessity with the dispensary, which actually has sort of a blanket, a spillover effect onto the larger district, the larger downtown. What do we want to not see? We don't want to see more approvals of the same old corner liquor store or a dollar store format that has high prices and maybe some necessities, but really not a broad selection of everyday goods. Get into infrastructure, get into city services. So we want to talk about things like public transportation, more quality, more frequent public transportation services. Just like everywhere in Michigan, we hear fix the streets, and of course we hear fix the infrastructure below the streets. We feel the potholes as we drive over them. We see the potholes as we drive over them. And of course now I think we recognize that, you know, that same type of physical issue, you know, exists below our streets. And we're talking about all of the infrastructure. So not just the water and sewer systems, but all of those support systems. Supportive community spaces in third places that are either, you know, run in partnership with the city, with community institutions, such as churches, such as other community and nonprofit institutions. Those can be second places or third places. And they're very, very important as well. It's important that they're not all just done by local entrepreneurs. They all serve their own purpose in this ecosystem of community. Restoration of parks. We went down to Hull Park. We've seen some of the other beautiful parks that Benton Harbor has. What an incredible resource, and wouldn't it be wonderful to have them looking as beautiful as they deserve to look? And then all of that has to include a supportive environment in which the resources of the city government can be strong and can grow and can support a staff that can provide a high level of service. Wealth building. So economic opportunity. We heard a wonderful story, you know, about a resident who, you know, is working with locals in the neighborhood when there is a job to do on the street or on a property. You know, working with citizens, paying them a little bit of money to come and fix up the neighborhood, fix up yards for an hour. You know, that type of, you know, small scale, granular wealth building. That's how businesses start. That's how successful, you know, contractors start. That's how successful craftspeople get their start. It takes a helping hand from somebody else, and sometimes that person's a family member, sometimes that person's a neighbor, but it starts locally. It starts within the community. It's growing those people in the skill attainment. So we can build that into things like the building industry, the contracting industry, the traditional trades. These skills are so in demand, and they can come back into the city to, you know, build up a better city. So it's that overall culture of entrepreneurship. Recruiting, of course, new industries, all the things we've talked about in some of the previous slides, and of course those that currently have the skills, the local contractors. To actually do the work. So overall, we're hearing the themes of resilient community. So those retail services, third places existing within the neighborhoods, development that can increase tax value for the entire city and take some of the burden off of individual property owners. Allowing people to have an environment where they can increase property valuations through those incremental improvements, be it just maybe a new porch or a new coat of paint, all the way up to adding maybe a second story to a building or an accessory dwelling unit. Of course, larger new development sites, there's vacant parcels, there's plenty of appropriate spaces in the city for some of the larger new development. But, you know, sequencing it so that it occurs on those vacant parcels ensures that nobody existing is displaced, and it also ensures that property values don't become out of whack because of that. Robust local government, we mentioned that on the last slide. make sure we have adequate staff resources, fill in those gaps for incremental development in our strong neighborhoods, and overall begin that cycle of local wealth generation. And if there's anything, Paul, you think I missed, or we can elaborate there.
I think that's good. So what I'd like to do, actually, Maya, will you be able to take some comments? So what I'd like to do is bring up Kay and Craig next. So what we're sharing back is what we heard. And Craig and Kay also like to talk about what we heard about Street. Can we do that now? But while we get pulled up, Maya, maybe you could just, what I want to hear about is validating. This is a report back. These are the things we've heard. So does anyone have something they want to add, or even just, second that motion? You know what I mean? Are you hearing back what we actually heard? Please tell us. Maya can help take those comments.
Yeah, right, so does anybody have anything that they, noticed that we had on any of those lists on any topics that would like to speak on?
Come on, somebody does.
I saw nods, and I saw shrugs, and I saw uncertain looks, so is there anything that you saw that you didn't hear, or is there anything you didn't see that you heard, or feel like didn't get emphasized maybe enough?
I guess so, but hopefully I don't flunk. One is, one thing that I noticed is the lack of lighting in a lot of the amenities and neighborhood streets. And actually walkable sidewalks, places so people get from one question.
I just feel I'm just saturated in a lot of community, but I'm not getting connected. I don't see the grassroots, the resident connection, and I don't see what they're gonna feel and understand the benefit of it all. They're gonna look at us, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just saying, we're just a bunch of conservatives that are mapping out a beauty plan. But there's people out there, families and children, and they have to be included, they have to feel inclusion. It's in the inclusion problem. And I'm not feeling it.
So that was, my thought was similar. One thing that stood out to me was there's a lot of change, and we've all mentioned there's a lot of things that we do want to change, but I noticed that the term local was used. But this is a hometown, we need individuals and residents that care about the community, and so for me, it's extremely important that people that live here and have stuck with it and harboring through all of this trials and tribulations are gonna actually be able to access and feel comfortable utilizing all of the things that are being brought into the city, because often what occurs is that a community is revamped completely, but it does not feel like home, or it does not feel accessible to the individuals that actually live there and have been long-term residents. So I think there's a lot of amazing ideas on the side. I know one of us mentioned something about it becoming like attractive for tourism, and that's great for the economy, but you don't want to create a tourist community that is not welcoming to the actual people that have been born and raised there all their lives. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's extremely important when we're having these conversations with your community leaders or consultants, that we're ensuring that we're creating a concept that's going to be accessible and welcoming to the actual residents.
Can I add to that, just the tourism?
Let's talk about it.
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
He just raised his hand.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so I want to thank everyone for being here firstly. Responding directly to those comments, it's been noted that this is the beginning of a process, and so those Pickhopper residents have to participate, right? There's going to be some opportunity for entrepreneurship, for employment, but they are going to have to develop the skills that are necessary. So for those of you who are leaders in the city and in the community, it's very important that you make these dates when those types of opportunities are available known to the community, whether you post on Facebook or in other media. It's important that the community knows what is possible. One of the things that we struggle with is trying to understand how we go forward. And look at our city needs help. And so it's up to us to help it. And I'm very appreciative to Craig and the folks from the University of Michigan for putting options on the table. So right now is the time for people in Benton to step up and to make not only their voices known, but also make known what they can contribute, not what they can take, but what can they contribute. And so there's a lot of opportunity to do that, and I know that certainly Paul and Craig and many other people here are making those opportunities available. So I'm hopeful that the community leaders in Benton Harbor will make sure that these people who are underserved, who feel like they aren't being, or their issues aren't being addressed, know that there's opportunities for those issues to be addressed, and if there is not an opportunity for those issues to be addressed, please create them, right? Because Paul is open to that. So anyone who says the people in Harvard's voices aren't being heard, then establish the town hall so that those voices are heard. And we look around, I don't see that many people from Benton Harbor, and I know that this event has been widely publicized. Widely. Okay, so what we need to do for those of us who are, like me, a graduate of Benton Harbor High School, it's up to us to make sure that in the future, during this next year, that these events are well attended by Benton Harbor High School graduates. Thank you.
I had a very brief comment, it's not terribly powerful, but, that point about tourism though, like, you know, the places that I go are authentic places that are built for the people that are there. If you build for tourism, for tourists, you get Myrtle Beach, and I don't think anyone's looking to make this town a tourist trap with t-shirt shops and, you know, mini golf, all due respect to t-shirts and mini golf, but, so building an authentic place, I think is really important, that is for everyone. And when that happens organically, like, those are the cool places you wanna go.
And that's how it is happening here. That's how we.
And I think that, yeah,
I just want to say with some of the discussions that we had, that's why the big box will work here. That's why we're looking for local entrepreneurs to start those restaurants and those businesses like Audie did and some of the other places in our community where it will feel authentic and people will feel like they belong and want to participate. So I think that's part of us doing this.
and just maybe because we were talking about this earlier, ways that we can bring, we were talking about earlier ways that we can bring communication to the people as this is the beginning of the process. And a lot of people here are experts in one way or another. Just coming up with ways that we can try to have a lot of different ways to get people engaged. In addition to having people come to us, going after people, making people feel welcome so that they feel like they can come here, and feel included, like their voice will actually be heard. So I just, if anyone has specific grounded ways, although there's so many ideas and concepts, but just ways that we can, strategies that we can get people engaged in different creative ways.
I think revitalization of the parks in the neighborhoods is a great beginning. You know, such as Ellis Parks, as I mentioned earlier, down over in the Morton area. That has been wasted for years and years and years. And when I grew up, it was vibrant down there, playing baseball down there, had a basketball court down there, and that's not accessible now. And I think we started one neighborhood at a time, one project at a time, get that up and running. I think that's the way to go.
I just wanted to talk to the appreciation for people who are able to be here this afternoon. Bob Gibbs has been here all day, and taken a number of people on individual tours of the neighborhoods and talked with them specifically about the types of things that they want to see in the city. Earlier today too, we also had a bus tour that took us to a number of sites throughout the city where we had surmised development could maybe make a big difference. One of those is somewhere on Broadway, and And we actually spoke to the people at Empire and Broadway about what they want to see and made notes. So, we're working to figure out how to get out to people and where the opportunities are, because unless we do that, we won't have the authentic place that our current residents want to stay in, and where they can stay, where they have the amenities they need in order to have a fulfilling life. I mean, a simple thing is a laundry mat, but how many laundromats do we have and how many do we have now? So, you know, these conversations are really important because we don't know what we're missing until someone tells us. And we hope to talk to as many people as possible to gather that information so we can give it to Bob, so he can write a detailed marketing plan for our city that will allow us to go out and recruit businesses that we want to take care of Commissioner Sharon Henderson's children who come to class thinking about what's missing in their city and are willing to write it down and talk to us all about it. So,
Commissioner Henderson, can you mention the list that you gave us today?
I think I have it, because I wanted to keep it.
And it was incorporated into this presentation.
And so I work with middle school students, and I have to put together a list of things that they want to see happen in their community. And I had a number of those students, and I created a list of things they want to see happen in their community. And so took a picture of that, and a lot of them have even more to say, and so I'm going to do that again this week with some other grades. But these were some middle school students. Put your reason for people like, put them in the parks, parking at Newfield, skateboard park, some kids, new roads, recreational center, and specifically a lot at the old hospital where the kids were, an armory, a grocery store, a dog park, a gym, another school, elementary and high school, restaurants, specifically Chick-fil-A. One girl said a Starbucks, a buffet, road repair, snacks in the park, park space, trash pickup, more play equipment, new schools, housing, a boardwalk, more animals, jobs for youth, pothole repair, homeless housing, barber shops, redo parking lots, flying nation, Wi-Fi in the parks, charging stations and outlets, skating rink and the mall. Those are but to the point of talking to people, one of the things that in my work we'll be doing, public meetings outside, and we'll get large numbers of people to actually participate in getting their ideas and voicing what they want to see heard. So, yes.
I thought it was great how many young middle schoolers at ES are so close to what all the adults are talking about, like they know what's going on. Anybody else?
I just want to say it's an amazing idea that involving you, because essentially we're building their picture. That was all.
We're building our future.
Yeah, so I like that.
Right. So one thing that I like to see you do is talk about the skills that they're going to develop so they can contribute. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, we want a restaurant, but it's another thing to say, I'm going to be an accountant, or I'm going to be a certified chef, or I'm going to be a delivery person. I mean, there has to be within the community some acknowledgement of what it is they are going to contribute. And I see folks in the community here, it's clear what we're contributing. Our presence is a contribution. And so we need more than just raising our hand and saying, we need a restaurant, or we need whatever it is we need. We need a restaurant and I'm going to be a chef. Or we need a dog park and I'm going to be a veterinarian. Or we need a better medical care facility and not only am I going to be a technician, but while I'm in school, I'm taking these classes, right? I'm taking biology, I'm taking chemistry, I'm preparing myself for calculus, right? So there needs to be ownership and responsibility along with the wish list. And the other thing we got to keep in mind, and I see the folks from the stage shaking their head, is that the government is not going to pay for all this, all right? So some of this is going to be paid for by the private sector. And the private sector has to get return on investment. That's okay. So what we have to do as a community is say, all right, we will provide return on investment. And so I just want to broaden the conversation beyond just saying what we want, and including what we are prepared to do and how we are preparing ourselves to do it. Thank you.
One thing I didn't hear, what you guys said is an event center, and we discussed this earlier today. The whole farmers market is like the perfect area. Got a lot of square footage there that's available for use. There's nothing there right now. We bought an event center in. We could bring in celebrities, singers, kind of like what they do at the Four Winds Casino. They have that type of venture going on, and there's plenty of opportunity for employment. And you would draw people and tax dollars from all around. People come here and spend money, and then stay in the city, and that's what we need.
I just wanted to add that, I agree with you, I really do, that there is a role, there is other parts of this piece, it is self-development, I'm with the African American History Initiative, and we introduce other folks' history to the young people. But in the days that you said, all of that is about your history, your legacy, what your folks want to say. So absolutely, this is part of it. It's what do we do to get the attention of the people to want and desire self-development so that they can be prepared to participate in the growth of their city. So I don't want to sound like I'm not there with that. That's a big role that we do at the History Gallery. But at the same time, if we skip past that piece, then you'll get that area of being left behind. And you just end up with an unhappy city, feeling like you move forward without it. So, but I understand that. You're right. There is something not just to get, but something to do.
I agree. And in the parks, and they're built to create community, and their commissioners are elected to represent us. Town hall kind of thing. It's rewarding and disappointing to see the turnout here. We care. Taking the meetings to the people where they're comfortable. You made points of that earlier in dialogues and discussions. Spend some time sooner than later trying to involve your constituents and bringing out the topics that we're trying to cover here. And bring ideas back or maybe generate their interest to show up at future opportunities. The little islands of hope exist out here. I mean, you can see, wow, those people are really trying hard. And we need to grow that, maybe those neighborhoods.
Yeah, I just want to say, it's a lot of hardworking people in Ben Harbor, and everybody is not at property now, and everybody is not looking for handouts. It's a lot of people doing well. I am one myself. I am a commissioner, but I'm also a resident. So, and it's a lot of kids that can tell you, even in elementary, what they want to do. And a lot of kids even are already taking college, in high school, doing dual programs. So it's a lot of kids, it's a lot of good things in Ben Harbor. We're strong, we're resilient, and, we work hard. We bust our butt. It's a lot of homeowners in Ben Harbor, despite what you hear. It's a lot of business owners. I'm a homeowner, property owner, all that, and much more. So I don't know what this negative stigma come from, and, especially if you're on the outside looking in. But it's a lot of good people in Ben Harbor. It's a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, a lot of people that's already in Ben Harbor, don't have to come from out of town, looking for affordable homes and looking to just improve the city. Thank you.
Yeah. Trying to say earlier.
I'm just going to offer a real quick comment, and that the point about private sector is really important, but also, if through this process, there can be a handful of really well-aligned goals there is a once in a generation opportunity at the federal and state level with money right now. So I think, Rich, you talked about collaboration, like alignment between local units of government, institutions, business, et cetera. Like if at the end of this in a year, 3 things come out that are like just about everyone has consensus on, there's a lot of opportunity out there right now. So I think that's something important to remember.
Let's give Commissioner Henderson the last word.
Just one thing, in terms of, I agree with Commissioner, Carter, about what she said, there are a lot of aspiring, people who want to do business in the city, but didn't have, or don't have the same opportunities as, their counterparts. And so I think, like she said, there is a negative stigma placed on people in the community, and as far as our youth, exposure has been key. And one of the opportunities that I get in my roles is to expose our youth to things that they didn't know that they want, or places they wanted to live, or things that they wanted to do. So every opportunity that I get to do that, I'm doing that. And so just even creating the dreams that some of them don't or did not have as part of our role. So it is building from the bottom and increasing the value that we do have in the community. So I think a lot of that is being done. Even one of my students started a meeting business with her, something. So I think there's opportunity. I think our youth want to do, but they can only do what they see. And so a lot of that, they don't see a lot of successes, but they have a lot of it in their heart through the exposure that we introduce to them in the school code. So it is happening, and again, I'm hopeful with what we're doing.
All right. We're gonna have another report back, because we had many discussions today, and one of them is about Ox Creek visioning. And Craig and Kay are gonna share the aspirations that we heard in related to the Ox Creek revitalization.
Yep, thanks guys. I grew up playing baseball, and we practiced and practiced and practiced, and then I became an architect, and then went up to practice architecture. And I was always like, but wait, that's what you do before you play. And then it's taken me a long time to realize that every one of these kinds of meetings, every one of these kinds of presentations, it's just practice. We're just trying to like get it better every single time. So over the course of this week, I mean, we've tried to kind of refine and tweak and think about what we're hearing from you and incorporate that and adjust and incorporate in order to lay the groundwork for us to start to practice on the next phase of this. And so tonight you're going to hear an imperfect report back from both Kay and I. We heard a lot today. It was a great conversation. We really enjoyed it. It was all over the place. And we're focusing on Ox Creek, but we were talking about the convention center out at the farmers market. We were talking about Edwards Park. We were talking about Edgecombe Park. We were talking about things well beyond the confines of what is officially our study area. But I think we were listening to it in a way that we're trying to incorporate all of that intention into things that filter through and read across themes in the project. So again, we're going to practice one more time, and then we're going to tomorrow night we're going to practice it again, and then we're going to be back in a couple weeks and practice again, and a couple weeks after that and practice again. But just bear with us. So and remember, we're just practicing. Didn't go anywhere. Slides aren't moving. There we go.
First of all, I'd like to
Hold on, let me pitch it with you for a second.
I'm sorry.
I think it might have froze. We sat so long.
First of all, I'd just like to extend a warm thank you to everybody who participated this morning and everybody who's here this evening. It was such an honor to witness all of the narratives and memories and very specific suggestions that were brought to people who are from Benton Harbor with this really incredible, inspiring, and unstoppable energy. And I hope that we can draw that kind of energy in the upcoming conversations, as well as, voices that are a little bit more quiet or voices that we don't yet hear or see today. And we're gonna try not to spend too much time. We want to respect everyone's evenings. But right now, I'd like to share a little bit of what we've done. Essentially, we've collected our notes, we've studied everything, and we'd like to invite you to take a look at some of the themes that we drew, and also invite you to sort of brainstorm on the side, things that we haven't yet discussed, the adjacencies, but also ways to reimagine sort of the process that we're taking right now. Like, I don't know, maybe this presentation format's not the way that we need to, maybe we need to do something else to speak to a wider audience. We'll be talking through, I'm just gonna share amenities, pretty specific things, events that we think can inform the design of the Ox Creek Trail system. What sorts of, how it's going to connect different neighborhoods, its beauty, how it's going to empower youth, quality of life, and whom we're doing this for. We'd like to hear where are the gaps, who's not yet recognized in the information that we've collected so far. And again, this is practice. We're just reporting out right now. And yeah, join us for the ride. So many of the things that were mentioned today, which was so much that my hand was having trouble keeping up. We were seeing things like, elevated tree walks. I understand that there are things like that happening already in Benton Harbor, but maybe there's a way for that to exist along the creek. Things like murals. We're identifying, moments like stages and surfaces that can be activated by the people of Benton Harbor. There's so many ways to empower some of the activities that people love to do here already. And also just think about, all these activities are opportunities for people to just focus on their health, or focus on how they can bring a friend from somewhere that might not be Benton Harbor. Other things, a lot of other activities, of course. I think it's also another theme that was brought up in the conversation was how a trail system or just the revitalization of Ox Creek can be sensitive to changes in technology over time, because people will be looking for things like Wi-Fi or maybe a spot to charge their phone, and again, that might look different in 10 to 15 years, but we're hoping that I don't know, some of you might already be thinking, oh, I want to see this technology there, but we'd love to hear all of that. Some of the events that were brought up today, and I'm sure this is a very limited list of things that are to come, things that happen annually, things that are traditions here. We think that it's going to be critical that our efforts are sensitive to those kinds of activities. Maybe even there are venues for these kinds of activities there. I understand that the commissioners are working hard to kind of imagine and bring a lot of energy to these things. So while I'm just doing this share out, if there are things that are saying, hey, where's this event? Be sure to let us know. This work will really be about connecting neighborhoods. We're having a conversation with Commissioner Edwards, and he was talking about going to Grandma's house. Maybe there are ways to build crossings and walkways across the creek so that it doesn't take 40 minutes to walk to Grandma's house when she needs some medicine, she needs some medication. And how there are also ways to sort of develop places like the Boys and Girls Club, and think about, I want a shortcut to my friend's house. The creek can be an opportunity to think about saving time and connecting with the people that you love and joy, the moments of joy. This work does need to be about making it beautiful too. There needs to be some energy to clean it up. Flowers, red roses. There's already a lot of state efforts to study and think about the improvement of the water quality of the creek. But here is just a short sample of the ideas that people are having along that creek. And here, this work has to be about empowering the youth, has to be empowering the seniors, empowering different people in Benton Harbor. So we're excited that people are bringing ideas about how the development of the creek can be an opportunity to couple water or ideas about entrepreneurship or performances, and couple that with sort of like career exposure or exploration for the youth. And I'm gonna ask Emily to sort of elaborate a little bit on something that she's working on currently.
I guess I'll just come on up. Thanks, Kate. So I just wanted to share something I was talking with some of the commissioners about earlier this morning. One of the programs that the state of Michigan offers that my office, Office of the Great Lakes, is co-sponsoring with our Michigan Department of Education and the MySTEM network and our Labor and Economic Opportunity. It's called From Students to Stewards. And what we're doing is creating a statewide initiative to integrate Great Lakes literacy into our K-12 systems by helping to teach our youth all about how their decisions and their daily actions are affecting our water resources, not only from the Great Lakes, but all the way into Ox Creek. And so we're supporting grants. We actually just announced today phase 2 grant funding for 16 schools and districts across the state to do this work. And it's very place-based. So Ox Creek really presents a great opportunity to create outdoor classroom opportunities, get students down doing water quality testing. There's some grants that are being funded with the Marion County Conservation District that are helping get citizens involved in doing water quality monitoring in the creek. And already lots of existing efforts where there's creek cleanups are happening that many local partners are involved in. So I'd love to talk with you more. I'd love Commissioner Henderson, the work that you're already doing with the classroom about how we can partner and get more students involved. But a big piece of this is not just about teaching them about water resources and stewardship. It's also about filling that talent pipeline. How do we help these students understand what these water career opportunities look like? And to your point, Todd and Matt, what are we doing to help prepare them for all these different career opportunities? It's not just science, it's technology, it's marine, and you have a Harvard right here, so there's already a history around Great Lakes and maritime. So there's just tremendous opportunities, and I just wanted to kind of make a pitch for that. It happens to be one of my kind of babies. I'm very passionate about this program, and we launched it during the pandemic, so we're starting in phase 2. We're in the kind of early stages, but we'd love to work with Benton Harbor schools to see if there's a way we can bring this to the community. Thanks.
We'll be moving on to talking about how quality of life and economic growth are pretty closely linked, and these are all ideas that were brought by the people of Benton Harbor. Access to open green, connectivity with new housing, shopping, and access to medical areas. It needs to sustain itself, and there needs to be sort of a feedback loop to sort of kind of, retain a certain kind of energy and excitement. And this is the slide where I'm going to invite you again to think about, whom else might be using a trail system like the one that might be imagined along the creek. Families. We think it might. I don't know. There's some ideas about thinking about bands or other local performance groups sort of performing in a place somewhere along Ox Creek. So this is just a sample. And I'm going to pass it to.
Maybe we'll come back to next steps, or I think you guys have.
That was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been hearing also a lot, and we've been thinking all week long that we need to do more in terms of outreach and do more in terms of bringing the conversation out of this room and out into the public, and meeting you where you live, and seeing the context, and meeting in places like the park and like the communities, and the places where you gather. So we've started planning a number of things. Barbecue was on the slide before. We're talking about reviving and having a nice barbecue in Hall Park, having a conversation about the creek, overlooking the creek and in the park, and we can look and point and see and talk about exactly what can happen, and invite everyone out. I love to cook, so I'm super excited. Commissioner Edwards is already out there checking to make sure the barbecue pits are ready. He's promised to provide the music, but we had a couple of guys today that offered to hook up a little bit more contemporary music for us, but we're gonna have a good time out in the park. We're also talking about hitting out, we've already been working on planning a meeting specifically targeting individual groups. So we've been planning on one that's targeting senior citizens, just having a conversation about the park and the history of the park, and what the aspirations might be for future communities from the perspective of seniors. And we're also, we started talking yesterday with Commissioner Henderson and planning on doing something with her class this summer. And we're also planning some other stakeholder meetings of folks who are invested in the creek already, and doing work in the creek already. We've got a kind of long list of folks who have already been participating, including experts who are looking at water quality, and but also just the overall life of the creek and the role that it plays in the community. So we're looking forward to those next steps. The overall process for us, really, we've said all along this week that we're still in this process of discovery, of learning and listening. We're starting to move into, we're getting a lot of information. We're going to start to pull this together in a kind of form of synthesis. We've had some boards that are kind of out. I don't think they've gotten a ton of attention yet, but we'll try to continue to direct people to take a look and see it, things that might strike you or pop out. So these are some of the things that people have already been tagging on those boards. And then we're going to try to talk as we move forward what design does, what we do as designers in relationship to your visions and your ideas, and how we pull them together, how we think about spatializing them and making material. Not everything that we've talked about is something that we can draw. Wi-Fi is really hard to draw in a plan, right? So we're going to be making plans, but we're going to be making other kinds of drawings and other kinds of representations. And this kind of project is different than, let's say, a typical, like, we're going to do a building for you and it sits here and it does that and it's this big and it's made out of this. But there are aspects of the project which have to be designed. And as designers, what we try to do now with this list of aspirations and desires is try to find moments of coincidence. Where can we produce a kind of moment of access that not only provides new access and open entry to the park and a kind of revelation of what's down there, but at the same time puts new eyes in certain locations that might help eliminate some of the kind of back out of the way places where rubbish is beginning to collect. So there's ways that you begin to, as designers, we start taking all of these things and then start trying to different fits and matches and overlaps and ways that we start to maximize resources. Because every project, there's not an infinite budget. We're going to be working and scrounging for money to get this to happen, but we're going to find ways to leverage that for maximum impact. For everything has to do 3 things that we implement. And so that's really the kind of process that we go through. As I said before, it's really iterative. We're practicing every time. We keep doing this. We're going to do it again and again. We're really, again, at the kind of beginning of this, we're hearing your voices and we're trying to pull that all together. And then what's next? A number of small meetings, but we're hoping a kind of larger event. We're targeting right now, we're still working on dates and timings, trying to align everything, but a kind of event mid-July, mid to late July, probably based in Hall Park, a kind of outdoor cookout, inviting everybody. We're going to try to let you all get the word out, bring all of your friends, talk to all of your networks. The food will be good. We'll have some good conversations. It's going to be great music. We're going to have a good time, and we're going to try to generate even more, I think, excitement. And that will just be the kickoff of the next phase for us. Okay.
You
I
want to
think-
do a check-in on that?
Yeah, I mean, are there thoughts about that? Kay was kind of offering some charges for you guys of comments. I'm sure we missed things in the conversation today.
So one thing that we should keep in mind is that there are 12 seasons here in Mid-Congress, so we don't want to get so skewed to activities during the summer months that we don't consider how we provide value in the other 9 months. And so one of the advantages we have over Chicago and Detroit is that we get twice as much done. So how do we leverage that, right? How does this trail become useful to the community during the winter? So one of the things that just comes right off the top is these bird bike, the electric scooters, they can be reconfigured with skis and tracks so that they can run on snow and ice. So that during the summer, it's an electric scooter with wheels, and then during the winter, it's an electric mini scooter with a track and a ski. Well, that's a business for someone, right? For someone from Mid-Congress who's enterprising, that is a business, right? So there's a number of things that could come out of this that would provide the value. When again, someone was talking about skate park, right? Well, what's out in the winter, right? What could it be? And so I think as we have these conversations, we have to keep in mind that this is a seasonal community, and we want to create attractions here so that people view this location as a destination in January and February, just like they do in June, July, and August. Thank you.
We heard great stories today about bobsledding down the hill, having to jump off right before you hit the creek. Great.
I agree with you, and I've been working with the team somewhat, but the one I did too was the armory piece and linking that in with Hall Park and possibly having a community center or indoor programming during the winter or, whatever. I'm not sure what the space looks like inside or how to accommodate it, but it might be a good way to link things together. And then you've got the Boys and Girls Club there too, just offering those kind of activities.
I'd like to add something to this. So this, after a little bit of discussion, there, I think it was the Michigan Association of Planning Conference 2 years ago, did a whole thing on cold cities and the attractions that cities like Minneapolis have in winter time. I mean, they actually have outdoor dining on the sidewalk in little bubbles that they create so that people can enjoy the winter in the city. They look for other ways like that, bonfires or fire pits, so people can gather outside and kind of warm their hands while they're taking a walk down the streets. So we do have opportunities that are not currently represented in any of the communities around us. And another option too that we didn't talk about is whether or not that area could support cross-country skiing. We don't really have good cross-country skiing right here. You can't ski on the trails to the golf course because that's off limits. But for visitors and for residents, would it be great if you go snowshoeing or skiing right in the neighborhood you live in?
That biking too, the real life air bikes in the winter.
I think Miguel had a comment. I just want to say for the night, we're going to just go into a final round of comments here. I think this has been a great report back of ideas. We've shared some ideas. I want everyone to have an opportunity to talk about their ideas, what we want to leave this evening. I think the main idea I've heard is that we're continuing this process, right? And there has to be ownership over how we get feedback and how we create that inclusive environment going down the line. And I would say, I think everybody in this room involved in this process, that's what we want, right? So we're going to work together to make sure that happens. We will get this plan right. I think Manager Mitchell said that on day one. We start on day one, we're at day 3 now. We're going a whole year, and I hope we get a brighter year. Not, we just have to keep going because we got to get there. So let's kind of close with these closing comments. I think we have one or six. Oh, you're good. All right. Oh.
Well, I didn't really have closing remarks, I was just gonna, say, but although the conversations and the workshops and the focus group have been great, but in the end process, what's gonna matter is the final draft.
Yeah.
What we're gonna have, what we're really gonna do.
Right.
But my main reason I raised my hand, she probably don't get me, because I'm gonna put her on the spot. But a lot of people don't know, I hear about, we talk about youth, but I hear a lot of boys and girls clubs, carts and charter school. That's been our area school president, board president, and for the ones that don't know. So we need to include Ben Harbor Area School also. So LaShawn Robinson, if a lot of people don't know, and she wears a lot of hats, and I'm so proud of her. If I never told you before, I am so proud of you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about Peace Day on Friday?
No, I wasn't prepared to do that, that's actually another entity that hosted it.
It's hosting, but it's at the high school. Okay, can I say something about it?
Sure.
I just wanted to say, because this idea about involving youth, Peace Day is on Friday, we're starting at Harbor High School. I think I misspoke on Monday, as we were walking downtown, we're walking to Broadway Park. And we'll be talking, I think tomorrow night, about some of the ideas for American for connecting the high school and connecting it downtown. We heard a lot about this connectivity today, and we're really excited on Friday. We're going to join the Peace Walk. My colleague Andre and I are going to talk a little bit about the Best Penn Harbor Talent Competition and our plans to continue to engage youth this summer. And it's going to be really fun. We're really excited for Peace Day as well on Friday.
Just two things. I wanted to throw out because I don't see her here. And I know you're gonna know his name. Oh my God. Ashley Hines. I don't know why she's not here. Okay, great.
And she's on the advisory committee too. She's working very closely with us.
That's good. I needed to know that. She's been on my mind. That's great. The other thing is on one of the slides, there was mention of self-sustaining.
So the resiliency, I mean, there was programming.
And what came to my mind when I saw that was what I have experienced here in Benton Harbor is a trust of we're always governed by outside city, especially foundation and money, and the people seem to distrust me beyond something because they don't feel money emotion in it, or say so, where the funds are coming from. And so it ends up being what they don't want, believe it or not, is a handout or something they develop that they're not listening to somebody. And I just don't have all the answers. I can share what the Gallaudet experience, City Hall folks have experienced for years, the same thing we experienced in Fremont. The school board has experienced the same thing. And it's lack of participation, this is something new for us. We continue to struggle doing anything, right? But I know that the one part I know, I don't think we have a foundation. We have a foundation there in this just so people to feel that there's money being funneled where they can actually take ownership to this or donate to it for that. So we love a lot of things and we're grateful for a lot of things that have transpired over the years. Very Foundation is huge for a lot of funds that we get through and get that distributed back into the Harbor. But I hope you guys are hearing me. This is an important piece. That's why a lot often we find it hard to accept what's being done because the funds are always coming in from somewhere that we just haven't had a part of it.
Even if it's just sitting at the table where money is being talked about, we're not there.
Thank you, that's a very important conversation.
This is the beginning. No decisions have been made about anything. We're gathering information, we're looking for trends. What direction do the citizens want to go in? We have a whole program set aside for citizen engagement. This is where we're gonna go in and talk with the citizens. And I keep saying that. When you say citizens don't participate, they want to participate, but not in this setting. I want you to understand that. That's what I was talking about. I said we have to meet on their ground. And that's what our safe talk is about this afternoon. How to engage the citizens. I mentioned many times, I believe in asset-based community development. Build on your strengths, not your weaknesses. We have skills, we have talents, we have ability, and believe it or not, you actually have resources. And that's each other. Community has to come together, work together. Who is going to implement any plan you come up with? The citizens. But you have to empower them. You are our representatives. You repeat what we want. Go and represent us. Enable us. Give us what we need to accomplish our goals and our dreams. These are our dreams we're showing you here. Help us manifest it. Help us make it happen. Go out there and talk to the people that are not here. Find out why they didn't come. You're going to find out what you need to grow stronger. And that's together, collaboration. It goes for our commissioners. It goes for the people in the community. Togetherness. Thank you.
That's all I want to say something.
All right.
I had the opportunity of visiting some people today, store owners and other people, and I can't emphasize, it's extremely important that we get to a very grassroots level and meet with people. I just want to share what happened today. I met a business owner whom raised the prices of his product by 25 cents because his costs were going up. And his customers were so upset. They thought he was taking advantage of them because of 25 cents. That they stopped going to his business, they would buy things and return it. And he had to stop selling that product because of 25 cents. And we are an extremely diverse area, but we really have to understand that a lot of people living here, 25 cents is a big deal for them. It means maybe they can't pay their rent, they can't buy something that they need. And I don't want to exaggerate that, but I think it's easy for us to come in from the outside and say, let's build these grandiose things, let's have people with all their free time go and do this recreational thing. And that's not a lot of the people here. A lot of people are just being by. So we won't learn that in this room. You really have to go out with people they trust and just listen to them, because we're going to have to calibrate this to a broad range, from that well-heeled Chicago tourist that's sailing in their $500,000 yacht to spend a day, all the way down to that single mother who's raising 4 children and with food insecurity. So please, we have to reach out. They're not going to come here. That single mother with 4 kids isn't going to come here. And if she does, she's not going to feel comfortable telling you that a quarter means a big deal to her. So please, we have to listen. We have to get out. And let's realize that a quarter means a lot of people, a lot to a lot of people here.
Think about your use of the word we, right? We all have to get out and spread the word and talk to people. This is one person can't do it. It takes all of us to collaborate, as Commissioner Reed said. Does anyone else have any final thoughts? Well, I think it's been said, oh, we got the gal.
Yeah, question.
Where are we meeting at tomorrow? Tomorrow we will be at the Hot Test, just down the road, closer to City Hall, and we will do our kind of final presentation. But we will also, gonna be at the Peace Walk on Friday morning, which is gonna be fun.
So this is a closing remark. We got quite a crew here today, throughout the day, but also this evening, right now. I think it's an important thing to look around and see which faces are here. And to take stock and to appreciate the fact that you are here to speak your truth, to represent yourself, but also to represent other people who couldn't be here today. To help us all get this effort right, as planning commissioner and as the downtown development authority president, we need to know what customers want. Our communities, the customers for whatever takes place here. But we can't all know everyone. So we rely on you. We rely on those people who can get out into the city and who do know people and who are looking for something. Who are willing to step forward and say, you know, we'd like to buy this at home. How do we find someone who will sell it to us? Those are opportunities. God is going to help us with plans. But it starts with people showing up. So I just want to thank everybody who came and who's put in the time so far through this process, because we will not get anywhere without that kind of effort. And whether it's the kids at the school who made that list that just blows my mind every time I think about it, and the teacher who thought to ask and bring it, or the school board president who spent her evening after probably many evenings in meetings to take the time to come and listen and bring her own. So, thank you. I'm glad to be part of this meeting.
Thank you, Rich. It's an open stage. Does anyone else have any closing remarks? Because we're going to take them all. Thank you.
So this is my first time actually getting a chance to come to you, and I can say that I always appreciate you. And I think that there's some awesome things that we can accomplish over the next year. And I just want you all to be patient with us, because all of our input may not sound like a big wow, you are doing an amazing idea type of comment, but we're very serious about ensuring that what we do is in the best interest of the child. And so sometimes things said may not be received the way intended, but it's all of pure intention and heart. And so we appreciate your taking on this.
Yes, we do. We do.
Thank you. It's service, right? We're all here for service. And I appreciate that comment so much. Thank you so much. More, who else has a closing remark? Anyone? That's a good one. And
I got a little one.
all right, let's do it.
All right. It's pretty obvious to me in my sessions here, I haven't made all of them, but we're all bringing our heart with us and showing it and sharing it. You guys are great, doing a great job of leading us, and we're working together. It feels good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And this is a fourth floor resident.
All right. I'm giving you a fourth resident represent. Right? Any more closing thoughts? All right, we got Commissioner Edwards. Oh, we got an announcement. All right, let's get it.
It's kind of in correlation with everything, but I want to say to Kim's great job. As they had said before, first time we ever had a conversation like this, not just run. We really got down to the part of it. Before the announcement to help all parks and rec, parks and rec will be raised on tomorrow at 5 to 8. So we're going to the website, you will see it says Jerry and his brother will be formed. But we like for you to come down to There will be random karaoke, so if you come in and we give you a raffle ticket, possibility we call your number, you gotta go up there and sing, maybe a version thing. After that, an hour of my brother. And, maybe not being really rich, but he's being and then more karaoke, maybe that's by the agency tomorrow, and then the all that,
And the hot
yes.
We'll be right downtown tomorrow night. Everybody, there'll be fun stuff going on all night downtown. This meeting is moving over to the Hawks Nest, so we're gonna be downtown tomorrow. And, really celebrating our work and getting ready for the rest of our work. I'm looking around, I think we might have got all the comments out.
I just want some clarity.
All right.
I need that, I need that.
But everybody needs to hear. Okay.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Cause I can get louder. Speak up.
All right.
I just, the only clarity I wanna know, cause you keep saying House Net tomorrow night, but isn't all the events tomorrow at the House Net?
Yeah.
From
Thank you for
morning
asking
to.
that question. No,
Yeah.
we will be in the morning here. We will be
Okay,
here in the
that's what
morning, and we'll be
okay.
here in the afternoon.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, the presentation will be at the Hawks Nest. That is a wonderful question. So as anyone who wants to drop in tomorrow, we will be here 9 a.m. tomorrow till 5 p.m. It's an open studio. We had so many good discussions today. We hope to have so many more good discussions tomorrow. And that's really gonna feed what we talk about tomorrow night. Just like today, we're talking about what we heard today. So tomorrow we'll be talking about what we heard here tomorrow. And we're starting here tomorrow. Wait, is it tomorrow now? No, I'm just kidding. All right, thanks everybody. Well, let's adjourn, let's have the conversations on the way out. I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.